Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Help Is Here podcast, brought to you by the Beyond Compulsion Academy. Today I'm joined by Mary Paulus, and we're going to be talking about stopping pornography addiction during summer. And this is also going to apply to any other behavior that you want to stop during the summertime. So welcome back on the podcast, Mary. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Yeah, doing really good.
Good stuff. Good to see you. Good to see you.
You too.
So, Mary, do you want to start off by sharing one of these remember letters? I know you had a call with a client just a couple of days ago, and he had a really powerful remember letter. This is a practice that we have for every single client, and hopefully it can help some listeners know they're not alone and that, this is like a very common problem actually in modern society, and the sort of feelings that come up and the experiences that come up are very, very familiar to me and to other clients. And hopefully that can be a bit reassuring that like, look, you're not alone and we actually can overcome this problem for good. So yeah, do you wanna take it
Yeah,
away, Mary?
sure. Yeah, as you know, I've been on my high horse forever about the normalizing of food compulsion, and now we're starting to see it with porn, where they're in, media, TV and stuff that they make jokes about it. I just saw another joke about it recently. I mean, it's like, yeah, I don't like it. It's not funny. And so this is, a remember letter from one of the clients, which is documenting what it really means, how it's really affects their life to be stuck in this addiction. And, to see just like the contrast between somebody making a joke about using porn and then the reality of what people are really going through, right? So, to myself, remember how it feels to set down your phone after just watching porn again when you had told yourself that you were done with this self diminishing habit. How you come crashing back down to reality, laying there hidden from the world, anxious at the thought of being caught as an adult still doing this childish act. Feeling the rush of regret and wishing you could go back in time to make a better choice. You tell yourself you'll feel better afterwards, but somehow every single time you always feel much worse instead. Looking in the mirror to see those pathetic red eyes, feeling diminished and embarrassed about yourself. The anxiety that sets over you, thinking about your upcoming social engagements, work shifts, and life events, knowing that instead of being your cool, calm, and charismatic true self, you'll have that awkward, anxious, unconfident energy, and people will return those looks of slight revulsion that your eyes convey outward to the world. Knowing the fog of deadened eyes and mental haziness will remain for the upcoming days, not to mention the objectification of women, blocking you from having normal friendships with them, the fear that the world will discover you for what you are, an addict and a prisoner to a creepy habit, having to hide your true self for the sake of secrecy and worrying what people think of you. Think about how much this habit has robbed from you over the years, how something about you changed when you first started using it in the eighth grade, how a certain spark you had was lost, how people up until then had been drawn to you in school, and how this gradually stopped. For whatever this habit provided you with fleeting seconds of artificial, quote, pleasure, think about all of the pain it has caused over the years. At best, it provided you dopamine-soaked fleeting distraction from the uncomfortable emotions in your life, such as loneliness, feelings of inadequacy, boredom, and lack of purpose. The hundreds, likely thousands of hours that you have spent over the years jumping from scene to scene to scene, pursuing the brief dopamine spikes of novelty, yet never actually feeling satisfied. Not before, not during, and definitely not after. The headache-inducing feeling of finishing and then coming down, feeling like shit with a racing mind, not to mention the general feeling of failure that you experience both during and after the act, knowing that you have let your true self down by using this drug that you have been telling yourself you will stop using. The sense of despair at the broken promise to yourself, your goals, and your future, knowing and feeling that the magnetism, mental clarity, peace of mind, and joy that you may have built up over the previous days is lost, lying to yourself time and time again, letting the little addiction part of your brain control you like a puppet on a string, telling yourself that one day you will be the man you want to be and someone you admire as the years slip by, rationalizing to yourself that you can still be who you want to be with this habit through times and specific X, Y, and Z experiences in life, work, school would indicate otherwise. I want to take back control and live my life at my best, enjoying having that spark behind my eyes and thriving instead of trying to survive each day in fear of this monster of compulsion in my closet. When you engage, your true self doesn't even enjoy it. It quickly gets boring and pit in your stomach that you know you are failing yourself, the other much better things you could be doing with your time, etc., etc. Instead, you are a prisoner to your addictive part of your mind as it abuses you for its selfish desires. Wow. Yeah, funny, huh?
Mm.
Let's make jokes about that. Not.
Yeah.
Sorry. It just pisses me off. You know? Oh, there's so many jokes about addiction out there now, just as like everything, you know? I mean, even God, some little kid. Oh yeah, we're making a tissue paper flowers at First Friday Arts for All on Friday, right? The beautiful little flowers we make for the with the kids. And this little kid says to me, "This is really addictive." I mean, just like stop using that word like it's such an innocent thing, you know? People are suffering. Stop already, you
Yeah,
know?
just a point on that, Mary. So,
Yeah.
just by me where I live, there's a lot of sort of yoga, Pilates, saunas, like sort of the whole new health kind of new age sort of
Yeah.
stuff, right? And there's these big like billboards, and they say, runaway Pilates, our results are addictive. And it's just like,
Yeah.
what are you guys on about? Like, why are you calling your results addictive? Like you're saying that this thing that you're trying to sell is addictive, and you see this all the time now, in society.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, come and join us in our game, or come join us in here or there or whatever because it's addictive. And then it's like you read a letter like that, and it's like destroying someone's life. It's like addiction's no joke, it's not a
I
good
know.
thing.
I know. And really, this kid was like eight, 8 years old, maybe, you know?
Mm, mm,
Yeah, talk about addictive. He's like a few years away from getting exposed to porn on Instagram or, TikTok or whatever, it really is like becomes such common language,
mm.
using the word addictive it's really, you hear it all the time. And
Yeah.
it's so detrimental. I can't say enough about that. It really needs to stop. So, but I think that the reason that people do it is because they want to make light of it because so many people are stuck in these horrible situations, these horrible addictions, and they really have no hope of like feeling, like they can get free of it. So, well, let's make light of it, and make it seem like it's normal and everybody does it that way. Maybe for a minute they can feel better about their situation, you
Mm,
know.
mm.
But
Maybe.
that doesn't last, That's
Mm,
the basic dilemma. You want to do it and you want to stop, and it's denying that you want to stop because everybody does it. It's normal, right? So but that doesn't last, not when these heavy real consequences hit. You just
mm.
can't deny like, oh, just because it's normal, this is okay with me. It's like destroying people's lives. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think just talking about, the denying of wanting to stop, I think it is really, really important to just face the reality of how much this problem's impacting you. And that's why we have the exercise around the remember letters, because
Mhm.
a lot of people, I think the problem is though, is that people aren't even aware that this is the issue in their life. People think that the issue in their life is maybe their depression, it's that they're lonely, it's that they're anxious, it's that they're
Right.
not
Well, he said it
fulfilled.
in his letter. Yeah, he said it in his letter, but sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing is when you really get down to it and you understand how to make choices you're proud of moment by moment, a lot of
Yeah.
those problems are going to go away. And it's like this usually is the number one problem in someone's life, but people are usually looking in the wrong places for a solution, and they're diagnosing themselves with these different problems. But like a lot of people, from my experience anyway, with the guys that we work with and my own life, is like you get in control of yourself and you're just living your life, just feeling pretty good about your choices. You're not gonna
Mhm.
have all that like extreme emotion, you know? It's like
Yeah.
the extreme emotions come from being in the addiction.
Well, yeah, and I was watching a show last night. It's kind of just a reality sort of show that follows this family, and one of the kids, uh, it was like 20 something, commit suicide, and they were all talking about, oh, well, we knew that he had problems. We knew that he was depressed. We knew, that there was, mental illness or mental unwellness, whatever. Um, we knew this, but he was depressed and he was anxious, and they kept on like naming these different disorders that he had because he was drinking, and then he would stop drinking, and then he basically I think he drank himself to death. I don't know how he actually took his own life, but he was dead, right? And they were referencing his drinking problem, but that it was because of his depression and of it because of his anxiety. So rather than being stuck in this problem, this addiction with alcohol causing him to feel anxious and depressed. I mean, you know, I remember working with this guy that I taught to stop smoking, who was also drinking pretty heavily, and he said that he just came to this realization that he thought, oh, I drink because I'm anxious, right? And he says, well, the anxiety would come when he'd have a night of binge drinking, and then the anxiety would come the next day. Well, hello, withdrawal. That's what that is. It's not I'm just this anxious person, so now I want to drink some more. No, I'm an alcoholic. I'm addicted to this alcohol. I use it all the time. So now when it's wearing off in the morning throughout the day, that's withdrawal. It's not, oh, I'm just this person with this anxiety disorder, and then now we're going to go get diagnosed as some mental illness too.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. This is like a good example of that. So we had a
you're
client.
muffled. You're muffled.
Oh, sorry. One
Yeah.
sec. That might be. That's not mic. Okay.
Oh,
So,
sitting on your mic.
yeah, I took my
Oh, there
shirt
you
off.
go. All
Okay.
right, yeah.
Probably
There
need
you
that.
are. Yeah,
Okay.
we're
I'll put that
human.
back on. All right, my bad, my bad. Maybe we'll
No
get
worries.
Andy to
And what
edit
we're
that bit
saying,
out.
yeah, the depression, anxiety diagnoses like crazy, and how they feed helplessness. I know we talk about all that all the time, but it's so important to recognize that, okay, now you're this is your label, this is your diagnosis, this is who you are. Now, in the face of this, you're helpless.
Yeah,
You're just going to
yeah,
do it because it's just who you are. Yeah.
absolutely. And then on the other side of that, you can actually live your life without any like. The thing is, I think a lot of people they kind of look up. And I don't think it's like their fault 'cause I've done this in the past myself, but like they'll look up to people who maybe have a lot of material success, or maybe they got this like thriving business or social life, or they've got these like attractive women around them or something like that. And it's like, oh yeah, that person's happy. Like that's the goal. That's what I need to be happy. And I know this is just like a simplistic point. Like everyone really does already know this stuff that I'm on about, but it's
Yeah.
just returning back to the reality that you actually don't need that much in life to be happy. Like if you're making choices
Yeah.
you're pretty good with, you're going to be pretty content. And we had a really good win in the program this week. So this is from the weekly check-in. Like every week in the program, we ask the guys to sort of share their wins. And the first comment was, "This entire week has been amazing. I've been on this straight line for a while now. The straight lines when you've had your Liberation Day call, you've built out your full script, and you're using that script consistently to deal with compulsive desires and rewire it to neural pathways." And he said, "Not sure exactly how long. Who cares? Question mark. Who's counting?" Another tip there. We really, really are against streaks. So any sort of no fap streak, any of that sort of stuff, that's just the old neural pathways. That's just being in an addiction. So definitely,
Yeah.
definitely don't count how many days it's been, because if you count in the days and you're still in an addiction. Anyway, he wrote, "Long gone are the days of no fap streaks. All I care about is the moment." Some more truth there. A bit more of a golden nugget is that it's actually only in the present moment that we ever even have a choice. You know, like right now, as you're listening to this, you have a power of choice. No one can ever take that choice away from you. You're always going to have that power of choice in the present moment. Anyway, let's see what else he wrote. He
If
wrote,
you have your script, yeah.
yeah, that's true, I guess.
Yeah.
One of the
Yeah.
best weeks of my life. Nothing special happened. In fact, in terms of news and circumstances, some bad things came my way, but I've always looked to the positives. Constant happiness, being grateful so much more. It's been a joy. So one of the best weeks of his life, but he's not even had like anything great happen. In fact,
I love it.
it's been a bad week circumstantially. Now, this could be because it's been wonderful sunshine. So, yeah, it's been quite nice weather here in the UK where this client's
Yeah.
from. But I deep down, I know it's because the straight line is just pure bliss. You know, every day this guy's making choices he's proud of, using the script, rewiring the brain. This is not me trying to gloat in any way or say, "Ooh, look at me, how well I'm doing" at all. I just really want to share the benefits of this method and the straight line in general. It's changed my life, and long may it continue. So, and a little love heart emoji at the end there as well. So yeah, very nice little post there from one of our clients this week. Just to show again, like you don't need to, I don't know, go do all this crazy self-improvement stuff, have the cold showers and meditate
Yeah.
every day for hours and get a six pack and make £1 million. It's like if day by day you wake up and you maybe you're working on your goals or maybe you're not, it doesn't even matter. But as long as you're not like you're choosing from a place of like, I'm choosing this. I'm
Yeah.
choosing to experience the temporary discomfort and like rewire my brain. And you're abstaining from like compulsivity and living in this like crazy messed up addicted
Yeah.
world. Like your life's gonna be pretty good. Like Mary, do you want to share actually some of the stuff you were up to the other day? 'Cause you were sending me some awesome videos of you, paddling and all of
Yeah.
that stuff as
You
well.
know, it's
Like,
funny.
yeah,
Listening to you talk just now made me think of that, and I was gonna share it anyway. But the one thing I just want to say that you were talking about, like nothing that great needs to happen, but you're like in this remember letter that I just read that you're no longer a puppet on a string, or something in you, controlling you, where you are in control of your life. I mean, that just is like that is, I mean, it's so priceless. Of course you're going to feel joy, even if you wake up and, you got a big tax bill in the mail, whatever, you're still in control of your life. But yeah, so yeah, was it yesterday? No, it was the day before, Monday, that I went paddling. And, I mean, cost a few dollars in gas. We went in my friend Tracy's car. She's got a little Prius. It hardly takes any gas, and the paddle boards, now they sell them for like 200 and some dollars. They're cheap, and but just so much joy. I mean, we were out there on this lake and into this canyon, and it was just like complete stillness. And once we went past a couple fishermen, it was literally me and Tracy. It was like the only people out there on this water, just surrounded by these giant rocks in this canyon and all the moss growing and flowers growing out of the rocks and little waterfalls everywhere. Oh my God. The stillness and the peace, it was so beautiful. And just, I mean, I still feel awesome from it. And it was 2 days ago, but it was very, I mean, very simple stuff. It didn't require a
mm,
lot of money or flash.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, it's beautiful out there.
It
So,
looks so
yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
going to Croatia next week, and we're gonna go to, I think it's called Plitvice Lakes, and they look absolutely unreal. So I'm looking forward
Send
to
me
that as well.
pictures. Yeah.
I will do for sure, for sure. But yeah, I think life can be a lot better when you just feel in control of yourself. And talking about the puppet on this string, this is quite an interesting point because I've actually wrote a very similar thing in one of my previous remember letters about feeling like a puppet. I feel like there's this thing controlling me,
Yeah.
and what we're doing is we're empowering people to actually like stop being a puppet and take back that control. And this is so, so important because anyone can do this. Like anyone can be trained in taking back control from the addicted part of the mind. But I think a lot of it does start with identifying the players. You know, we've got the rational minds, we've got the addicted part of the minds, we've got the child self. But if you can start to see the addicted part of the mind for what it is, which is just a part of the brain that wants you to engage in porn or whatever
Yeah.
compulsive behavior it is, 24/7. It's got one
Yeah.
job. It's not evil. It's not this big enemy. It's not some big fight. It's just a part of your brain has these like addictive neural pathways which you just go in one way, and that's just how it is right
Yeah.
now. You know, there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with you. Go
You
ahead.
know, it just makes me think about how, like, so much people want to connect addiction to emotions, right? Oh, I have these emotions going on or whatever, when it's like they're so used to using emotions as a reason to engage, right? Like I mean, like the calling it emotional eating, right? For the compulsive eaters, they do this because of the emotions. Well, no, you're using that as a reason because you don't know what else to do. It's like, oh, I'm doing it because of this. I can't stop doing it, so I might as well, assign a reason to why I'm doing it, because that takes it away from me being, like whatever, a moral issue, right? So when we look at it like so much more technically, like we teach a very technical process for rewiring the brain. There's no moral judgment on who you are as a person, being an addict and all this. And somehow I just need to accept, someone was saying in their messages, oh, I just need to accept who I am and this kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, we really don't teach that. I mean, we're going to teach you how this addictive part of your mind, technically the man behind the curtain, is bullshitting you and convincing you all kinds of things, that reasons to engage in the behavior. Now when you look at it more technically, take the emotion out of it, this is an absolutely overcomable, is that a word, overcomable problem, right?
Mm, mm.
When you start really identifying, going, okay, this is the addictive part of the mind trying to pull this shit, right? This is the addictive part of the mind trying to get my child self. We're not going to go cry over our childhood for hours, but this is the addictive part of the mind using that part of me against me, right?
Yeah.
So once you learn every single one of those little, wired sort of areas, you can rewire, and look at
Mm.
it technically, and understand that the reason that you turn to emotions is because you're trying to find, why do I do this even though I really want to stop? There's got to be a reason, right? Well, the reason
Yeah.
is because your brain's wired that way and it wants to go that way. And the addictive part of the mind is pulling you in that direction. But it's really, this work is very technical, and anybody can do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's so interesting that you say that because through my like sort of journey of self-development, sort of self-improvement, reading loads of books and going on YouTube, doing all that kind of side of things, like before I met you,
Yeah.
I already knew in my mind, like I was already at that level where I knew that like there was a process that needed to be followed to achieve results here. A bit like, playing for a football team, or for us, it's a bit like we're driving instructors and we don't really care too much about a client's previous experience of driving. It's just like if you step into a car with us, we're going to teach you how to drive. That's like our goal. So I already kind of knew that technical side of things, but where
Yeah.
I'd gone wrong is because I saw the relapses as part of the recovery, part of the journey, what
Yeah.
happened for me is I got to a position where I was like aware enough to start to see the issue more from a scientific perspective, sort of seeing the relapses as data as such. But then what I was doing is I was going, okay, well, I've just relapsed. All right, well, I do feel some shame here, but I'm going to try and sort of maybe detach from that. It didn't really work very well. I still felt the shame. But then I'd go, okay, so what was the reason? Because if I can just figure out the reason,
Yeah.
then next time round, I will be able to solve this problem because I'm going to remove the trigger. Because if the reason is loneliness, if the reason is stress, if the reason is that I was laying in my bed too much, if the reason is I didn't meditate, I didn't go to the gym, maybe I've eaten too much food if the reasons, and then there just always be a new reason. And that's
Yeah,
why what we teach is that you don't need a reason, you just need to be willing to live with the consequences. And the
yeah,
addictive part of the mind plays this trick on people. It tries to get them
yeah,
looking for a reason, and because the therapists and the counselors and whatnot aren't trained specifically in dealing with the addictive part of the mind, they validate that junky thinking that comes from
right.
the addictive part of the mind and help people try and find the reason. But if you have a reason to engage, you will never get
Yeah.
out of it because there's always going to be a new reason. That's just how addiction works. So,
Yeah.
oh,
Oh,
so
go ahead.
important. Yeah, go ahead. I'm
So,
so passionate about it.
I've had, you know, a number, significant number of people that have come through my class over the years and they're in therapy and they come to me and they say, well, I had a session with my therapist and my therapist said, now's not a good time for me to stop smoking, or now's not a good time for me to deal with my food compulsion or whatever it was, because somehow if I do that, then I'm gonna get really depressed again. I mean, just that validating of the addiction as if, like engaging in an addictive behavior is handling your depression or whatever. But if you stop this, you're going to get really depressed. It's so detrimental. Oh my goodness, so detrimental. And then the thing is most of these people been in these addictions for years. That's how they ended up depressed to begin with. It's like it's because you're stuck in an addiction. But then they would say, well, they got to listen to the therapist. So I can't stop this right now because my therapist says it's not a good time. It's not a good time to stop this addiction is junkie thinking 101. It's the most rudimentary, it's the very first junkie thought that we teach, to expect that because that the addictive part of the mind knows, oh, we can get them to not even try, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like if you had someone who hadn't learned how to drive and they keep driving and they crash the car and then maybe they've got to pay to get the car fixed. So then they
Yeah.
say, okay, well, I don't have time to get a driving instructor,
Yeah.
because I got to go get the car fixed. So I don't have the money to get the driving instructor because now I've got to pay to get the car fixed.
Don't
And we
drive,
say,
just take the bus
yeah, it's like, well,
instead of learning how
actually.
to drive. Yeah, right?
Well, yeah, if you're not prepared to drive, then there's no point even trying to stop, basically. It's like that's why to the guys that we work with as well, we say to them, until you've had your Liberation Day call, you're not going to be able to stop the behavior correctly. You're not going to be able to rewire your brain without the right education on it. But people don't see it in this way. People don't see addiction recovery as this tool, as this skill, as an education. They see it more as I don't know, something that's like wrong with them, or it's all about like
I'm
the
going to white knuckle it for the rest of my life. And I'm
yeah.
always going to want to do this. And it's always going to be a problem for me. That's how they see it, which is sad. Yeah, sad.
Mm. But it doesn't have to
But,
be that way.
we were thinking about talking about how many, how many people like want to put off addiction recovery because summer's coming, right? It's summer. Oh, I'll do it in the fall. I remember when I worked with Patricia with nicotine addiction, that we would see the classes drop off, and then September, like bam, we get these huge classes, right? Everyone shows up. But I think that comes from that idea that if I'm gonna be trying not to do my addiction, I'm gonna be miserable. No, I don't want to ruin my summer, right? Rather than you learn technically and you have the skill, you've really learned how to drive this car. Now you don't have to like Uber and take the bus all summer, right? Right? It's like you can actually learn to drive the car. And the same thing with this. It's like even summer's coming here. What do we get in May? We got a good month or whatever until it gets real summery around here. But it's like if you learn this skill and you deal with your addiction correctly, you're not going to feel like shit. You're actually, it's like you're going to, like you just read that testimonial. You're going to feel
Yeah.
the joy. Why not improve your summer by getting this addiction behind you before it gets here rather than, but they think, because this is their experience, I'm going to feel like shit and I'm going to be miserable trying not to do my addiction. So I don't want to ruin my summer rather than,
Mm,
oh, you know what? If I put in a good couple of weeks, a few weeks work with get my script, do the class, go through all the phases, I can be feeling damn good by the time the nice weather hits and summer's here, and I don't have this monkey on my back, where I'm feeling the thing is if you don't deal with your addiction, you're going to feel like shit all summer anyway. Listen to these remember letters. So, but that's just junky thinking, trying to convince you just
mm.
all the wrong things. So, but you got to learn it,
Yeah.
but it's very technical, truthfully.
I think a big point there is the misunderstanding of how people actually stay in the addiction. It's like choosing to engage in the behavior is what keeps people stuck. That's the only reason people stay stuck. It's not to
Yeah.
do with who you are. It's not to do with all this different stuff going on in your life. The reason people stay stuck in addiction is because every single time you choose to engage, that's what keeps you in the addiction. That's what strengthens those old addictive neural pathways. And so to get out of it, you like to actually if you overcome addiction, then you're gonna have to stop the behavior for good.
Yeah.
But you stop the behavior for good by doing it from a place of empowerment, from a place of choice. You don't stop a behavior from a place of willpower, like sort of trying to sort of like will it out. It's like, no, no,
Yeah.
no, hang on. I'm going to choose for myself. I want to choose some discomfort here. And I know if I choose this discomfort, then I get to experience all of these things, which are really, really good. I was walking home yesterday. I just got a past. No, I know what it was. I was thinking of getting a pastel donata. I just had a couple of coffees in like a few different coffee shops and stuff. I was thinking about getting a pastel donata, but I was also like, well,
You were gonna get a what?
pastel donata, do you know them?
No.
Oh, it's like a Portuguese tart. So it's like a Portuguese thing. They're really tasty.
All right.
But
Yeah.
I was also like, well, I'm trying to. Yeah, I want to get in better shape because I'm going to Italy in a couple of months and I want to get in better
Yeah.
shape. So not in like some sort of diety kind of way, but I was just like,
Yeah.
well, is that really a good choice?
Sure.
Probably not a good choice right now.
Reasonable foods at reasonable times. If you
Yeah,
wanted looking a little better, maybe you're going to pass the
yeah,
not
pastel
whatever.
dinner. Yeah,
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 that thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
That thing.
It
I mean,
sounds good.
funnily enough, I did get one today, but that was completely different. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, yesterday I was like, no, now's not a good time. I think I'd already eaten, so that's why it was like, why would I get one right now?
Yeah.
But instead of going like, no, I'm not gonna have this pastel donata, I've got to get in good shape, any of those sort of junky thoughts, I just
Yeah.
said to myself, I'm choosing right now to experience some temporary discomfort because I want to get in better shape. And I
Yeah.
was thinking that through, and I was like, you know what, in life, if you always say yes to something, your chances of success in life and in anything you really want to pursue, like just increase like a million times. It's crazy because if you're thinking in your head about saying no to something, then you're going to feel terrible. You're going to be in deprivation, and it's going to be very,
Yeah.
very hard to stop a behavior. That's why telling yourself like I can't watch porn or no, I shouldn't watch porn, anything like that's not going to work long term. It's using willpower. Whereas if you start going, actually, yes, what am I saying yes to? And you can realize that there's a massive, massive benefit to overcoming porn addiction, and you start saying yes to experiencing the temporary discomfort. Everything in your brain is going to shift. It just changes the game entirely. And you can apply the same concept to every area of your life as well, which is pretty cool.
What am I choosing to do and why?
Yeah, there
There's
she
your
is.
shift right there, And I like to
Exactly.
see how much the guys are starting to just repeat that, what am I choosing to do and why? We see it in the WhatsApp all the time. They're,
Yeah.
experiencing that shift.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
really powerful. It says, this is what I am choosing to do. This is what I'm saying yes to, you
Yeah.
know. And of course, we don't want to oversimplify it for the listeners. There's a whole lot to learn to get to that point. You can't just be like, oh, I'm going to say yes instead of no, like the positive affirmations or
Mm,
whatever. But
mm.
it's a lot to it. But that's one of the major shifts that can be made. And yeah, it's great. So yeah, and I bet they wanting that pa da 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 whatever that desire when you thought it through for a sec probably passed within minutes.
Yeah, this is an interesting point because I actually completely forgot I even had the desire for the
Yeah,
pastel donata yesterday and then ate one today. Like I completely forgot about the whole thing
yeah,
yesterday
yeah, yeah,
until remembering just now, like, oh yeah, there was a reason I wanted to bring that up for the podcast. Because I remember yesterday
yeah,
thinking, oh, I want to talk about that at some point on the podcast. But then when I got a pastel donut today, but I completely forgot that I was going to bring this up on the podcast or anything like that. And that goes to show the difference between spontaneous desire and compulsive desire. Because,
Yeah.
spontaneous desire, you're basically choosing to engage in your behavior or desires without any extracurricular. Like there's no judgment.
Right.
You just do a thing and then you just
Yeah.
forget how it
You
is.
don't think about it after, you don't think about it before, you don't think about it after. You think, okay, you do it and that's it, and it's done. You move on.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
sorted, sorted.
Spontaneous desire. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
And that's
Yeah.
another reason why me and Mary aren't like advocating to live some monk-like life, monk
Right.
mode life, or never eat sugar or work out every day
Right.
like, for hours. It's just once you know how to make choices you're proud of, it's sorted. Like you don't need to sort of have all this extracurricular. And if you do have the extracurricular, that means it is compulsive desire. That is the difference
Yeah.
between spontaneous and compulsive. For anyone listening to this, if you're questioning, well, is porn compulsive? Is it spontaneous? The fact you're questioning it means that it is compulsive because
Yeah.
if it was spontaneous desire, you just wouldn't be listening to this podcast. And for me, there could never be a moment where I have spontaneous desire for porn because I just know porn's like a drug. It's like heroin. So that's why I would just choose to abstain from that personally. So yeah.
Well, and the thing is like the person that wrote the remember letter that I read at the beginning could have that same junky thinking. Oh, well, maybe this is just spontaneous. It's like, oh, wait, hold the bus, It's like, but the spontaneous with these negative
Yeah.
consequences, the what the addiction, is how it's harming you. You know that, and if you're trying to deny it, that's again the addictive part of the mind. And it's back to the basic dilemma. You want to do it and you want to stop. And I mean, the thing is everything out there is going to try to, rather than acknowledge that dilemma, that both of these things are true, let's deny the fact that you want to do it. Let's find a way to deny that wanting, right? Do run around the block, ad nauseum, all the things that you could find on the internet. How can I distract myself from my addiction? Good, you had to go down a rabbit hole and you could have a list of 200 things that you can go do to try not to think about this addiction.
Mm.
It's yeah, not gonna work. So
Yeah, 100%. There's been times where I've had like a slightly messy flat and I've wanted to tidy up my flat and like, I've gone around in circles like thinking about all these random different problems and then when I've tidied up my flat I'm just like, all right, well, that's the problem sorted. It's like when you face
oh good.
something directly,
You can
everything
motivate
changes.
me because I was just thinking God, I get shit laying everywhere, but it's just I've been kind of busy doing other stuff, so it's like I'll get to it. But when you do it, it does feel a lot better, right? So
Feels
yeah,
good. Yeah, just
it's on my to-do list. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I feel like to-do lists it's like that's the thing, isn't it? If you've got something on your to-do list, if you just do it, it just feels so
yeah.
much better. Like I know it's so simple, but it's just the thing to
I
do.
do. I've like changed my thinking around paying bills. I would
Yeah.
go like when it's time to pay the bills. Oh, I
Mm.
gotta pay the bills. I gotta sit down and pay the bills. Oh my God, I gotta pay the bills. Oh, it's just like, and I keep thinking about it, and then finally I'll go do it, and then I'm like, you know what? Paying these bills is just not that bad. When I sit down and focus, it takes me less
Mm.
than a half an hour, balance the checkbooks and pay the bills. And then I'm like, and I always feel like, oh, great, that's done for another month. And
Yeah.
now I'm like, I don't even have these thoughts anymore. Like, oh my God, I have to pay the bills. It's just like, oh, gonna pay the bills. That'll take me a minute. It'll be done. And I'll feel
Yeah.
good. So the
Yeah.
brain's a
Yeah.
very powerful thing. Yeah.
100%. And the first thing that comes to my mind on that is like the analogy of clients who will be like, Tom, what do I do if I relapse into the future? Or what do I do if I have an urge in this situation in 2 weeks? And it's like the classic response is, well, if you're thinking about it in the future, you're wanting to right now. So use your scripts right now, like deal with it directly. Like when
Yeah.
you actually deal with things in life directly, you realize that all of that anxiety around something happening in the future if you can just deal with it in the present moment, then you're sorted, like it's solved, and it's never as bad as you think it really is going to be. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then there's our Marcus Aurelius quote. Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it if you have to. Yeah, might have desires, might not. With the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present, right? You got
mm,
your script. It doesn't matter when, where, how the addictive desire comes up or the addictive part of the mind, serves up some junky bullshit. It just doesn't matter because you've got your script to think it through in the moment, and that's one of the things that I really stress to the guys, during Liberation Day call is like, even if they're like, one day into it, it's like you never have to have the thought again, how am I going to deal with this problem? It's like that's done. You've done the work. You're dealing now. You apply your script, but that one thought, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? Oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Get on the Google, blah, 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 go on the Note app, whatever. You don't have to think that anymore.
Mm,
That alone is like freeing up so much, mental space to not think, how am I going to deal
mm,
with it? So,
mm.
yeah, yep,
Yeah, just a final point on that is I think things for me personally really, really shifted when I just went all in, like 100% just all in, committed to what you taught me, rather than still having like a lingering doubt and kind of like going on
yeah,
YouTube and maybe like watching other people's videos a bit because
yep,
I've seen that with clients as well. Like the guys who just go 100% all in and like they completely go right, like yeah, no fap is stupid, and they like almost are
yeah,
laughing at other people's like ridiculous advice from like
yep,
urologists about blockers
yeah.
and triggers and all this nonsense. Like the
And red
guys who go
flags.
all in, they just smash it, and like
Yeah,
I had to do that, because that's what people need because it's simplicity which is key. Like without simplicity, addiction recovery is almost impossible because if you have more than one direction to go in, the addictive part of the mind is going to find a gap. And we
yeah.
want to have zero gaps, like literally zero. Like it has to be crystal clear. Otherwise, the addictive part of the mind will try find a way out. And so that's why we've got to
No
deal with
chinks
it
in the
directly.
armor. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
So
so
key.
true. It's so key.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just like, and making that decision to go all in. And the clients who do that and just go, I'm just going to let everything else go by the wayside, all these
Mm.
preconceived notions about how to solve this problem. I'm going all in. They see the results and then they're so much more motivated to keep going all in, to stay all in. And then till they finally see that, oh my God, this is possible. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
For real.
100%, 100%. And that's another reason why I literally don't consume any content now, like outside of like our chats. Like that's
Yeah.
it. Like if I've got a
Yeah.
problem, I'll probably use rational emotive behavioral therapy to solve it
Yeah.
or just
Yeah.
talk it
Right.
through with you and then we're
Yeah.
good. Because most problems, almost every problem in someone's life is created by their thoughts, because thoughts create feelings. And so when you realize that actually, if you just change the way you think about something, you change the way you feel, it's going to change the way you act. You can basically apply it to every concept in your life and build a pretty great life. Like it's so
Yeah.
mind blowing. It really is, but it's possible for anyone, and that's the good news because the thought
Yeah.
patterns that we hear are basically all the same amongst all the different clients, and I relate to all of them as well, really. So
So
yeah.
don't let the your addiction fuck up your summer, if that's the thinking that you're having,
Mm.
because it can really like dramatically improve your summer on so many levels. And yeah, then you don't have to think about it anymore. Yeah.
100%.
Mhm.
100%. All right. Cheers for listening or watching. Hopefully, this has provided you some fresh insights on how to overcome addiction. And we hope you have a great rest of your day. See you later. Cheers. Bye bye.
Yeah.